North America, this split has been different than any other split. Cloud9 and TSM, the teams that everyone's like, oh, they're always going to be in the finals. It's a Cloud9 versus TSM finals every time. No, that's not how North America is anymore. Team Liquid's emerging, CLG's emerging, Gravity came out really strong the last half of the split. Any team can really take the title for the best team in North America.
이번 서머 스플릿이 가장 안 좋은 모습을 보여주고 있기 때문에 조금 압박을 느끼고 있긴 하고요.
Every single year that I play League, people are trying to get me to get benched, or they want a new top laner, or I'm sick of Dyrus. Going up there and winning once again would be a really great feeling to prove people wrong.
Playing on the Madison Square Garden stage is going to be fucking awesome. Something that you can look back on and say, wow, I did this, I was there.
It's going to be the biggest arena I'll ever have played. Playoffs is where some teams are going to show up. Now that we're in first place, we have some standards to meet.
이번 플레이오프에서 사실 정규 시즌 순위가 엄청 그렇게 관련이 있을 것 같진 않아요. 많이 바뀔 것 같아요.
If we can get back into our form, we can easily take playoffs.
거기서 제가 제가 증명해야 된다는 거 그것만 남은 것 같아요. 기회가 생길 것 같아요.
Honestly, we are ready to take on anyone.
It would just feel right. It would just feel like it would be the right thing for CLG after all this work we put in to finally hold up the trophy.
Our major goal is to prove that we're the best team in NA.
And you're going to see a new TSM at playoffs.
어떻게든 그냥 이겨야 된다는 생각.
I think this is our split.
Madison Square Garden in the finals, you'll see us there.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first day of the 2015 NALCS Summer Playoffs. Now, from 10 teams down to 6, we are still standing here looking to continue their fight for the crown of North American champions. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, and joining me to kick off the day, we've got Aiden Zyrene Moon and Rivington Bislin III. Riv, I never get to say your name.
This is fantastic. I'm really excited to be here. Maybe a little more excited than the players since they have all the stress of what is actually going to be happening today. Everything's going to unfold.
Yeah, and after the series that we just saw in EU, I'm even more hyped for today, looking to see what these teams come out with. After a couple weeks of practice, too, let's remember that they've had some time to prepare for this playoffs. Now, we'll be kicking off our games as scheduled at noon Pacific, 9 p.m. Central European, but we've got a lot to talk about here. So starting with a look at how the teams are arranged in the bracket. Team Liquid and Counterlogic Gaming grab the top seeds and have a first-round bye straight into the semifinals. Then third-place Team Impulse starts our quarterfinals with the first best-of-5 against 6th seed Team Dignitas. Tomorrow we'll bring you 4th-place Gravity versus our 5th seed TSM. All of our teams are fighting for the title of North American champions, but they've also got an eye on Worlds. At the end of playoffs, our first-place team will automatically secure the first seed to compete for the Summoners Cup. The second seed goes to the team with the most championship points, and the third ticket will go to the team that wins the regional qualifier, which will be seeded by those very same points. Now, right now, our top 3 finishers from the spring split, TSM, Cloud9, and Team Liquid, have guaranteed themselves a spot in the regional qualifiers. And with their number 2 finish in the summer split, CLG have also locked in their spot. So, gentlemen, this is a lot of information that we have to digest here. Let's start off with the playoff bracket, how we feel about these quarterfinals first, and who's looking at grabbing that first seed, 2 Worlds, and then subsequently the second seed based on points. What are we thinking?
Oh, man. So if you want to just say who's grabbing first seed, I'm probably going to go with Team Liquid on this one. I think that they're looking very strong, that they're only going to improve with this time off, and that they had a surge near the end where they were definitely asserting their dominance. And then for second seed, it's probably going to be TSM based off of points. So that tiebreaker, or at least that semifinal matchup, which will most likely, if Gravity ends up losing to TSM, is going to be TL, TSM. Winner of that will get first, but I think it's going to be TL, and then I think TSM's going to have second in points.
Riv, do you have any?
I agree with the drop in the hat that TL is actually going to be able to take first place. It's going to be very, very grueling for obviously all the teams going in there. A race at the bottom for Dig and all those guys to try and scrap their way in through every game. It's going to be very tough for those guys.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you pointed out the fact that even if TSM wins here, they do have to go up against Liquid. And with Cloud9 out of the playoffs, those are the 2 teams with the most points going in. So that semifinal matchup is going to be, very important, rather, in terms of securing a certain number of points moving forward. But most likely the team, that loses it will end up with enough points, rather, to grab that second seed. We flip down to the other side of the bracket. Today we've got Tip versus Dignitas. The winner of that moves on to play against CLG. CLG moving into the playoffs with a first-round bye. That's not something we've been able to say before.
They've never done that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a moment and what that might do for CLG, coming out of that kind of midseason slump they had, ramping into playoffs, grabbing that second seed. There's a lot of confidence. We heard it in that feature from Doublelift that they will be playing in that finals at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it's exactly what they wanted because they always seem to fall short in quarters. So if they just pass quarters and go straight to semis, maybe they're going to have a better time. But CLG looked like when they were putting, let's just go back to the half point of the split for them, because when they started putting Zion on these carry top laners, they brought out the Olaf, they brought out your favorite, they brought out the Kennen.
Yeah.
And then
it was like that game we said, why aren't they doing this? When they brought Zion on, when teams took Zion on, they said, we're not going to try to change his playstyle that much. And finally, they let him do that and go back to his playstyle.
I absolutely love that, though, because it took pressure off of Doublelift, because right before that, they were running Doublelift on single-threat compositions, and then Pobelter was playing like Lulu mid, supporting him, and it was not working out. And honestly, at this point in time, playing around just your AD carry, if it's not a Kog'Maw, I don't think is actually a very good strategy, because mid laners just bring so much damage to the table. So CLG adjusted, and now they play the same style with different champions falling into the position.
It's that adjustment. This is the first time we really see Chronologic Gaming going into the playoffs, anything like this, when they're on their surge and not in that downfall.
Yep. We're moving down the list of teams, kind of focusing in on today. We've got Tip versus Dignitas. Talk about looking at those last couple spots into the gauntlet with these teams that aren't coming in with a ton of points. I mean, Tip has a slight advantage there, coming in with a few points.
These are the guys not guaranteed, along with Gravity.
And that puts even more pressure on this quarterfinal matchup, because you have to win this one. Not only if you just want to go to Madison Square Garden and have a shot at the first seed by winning, you have to win this quarterfinal if you even want to make the gauntlet.
It's true. Loser of this is just knocked out of all hope of Worlds.
It's just added pressure when you think about the stakes of coming into today.
It's always strange, because when you're in these types of matches, you aren't really focused on, let's not lose. You're like, okay, quarterfinals, let's win, let's get to the semifinals, let's move on. And having Worlds in the back of your head, I think, is actually going to be a detriment, because it's just adding pressure on top of it. So I think they're just coming in here focusing on who's across the rift from them today and trying to take them down.
Well, Riv, when we look at Dignitas, the younger of these two teams in terms of the roster, you've got veterans like Impact over on Team Impulse, who you like to think will be able to lead the team through this mentality of like the play not to lose thing.
They've been past this. They've seen down the golden road.
Right. You do have Kiwi Kid on Dignitas, but you look at Gamsu, he's relatively new. You look at I have to wonder if Rico coming back is going to be able to refocus them, coming off of a kind of a poor finish of the split.
Well, coming back, even to get back into the split, it was off a huge play from Kiwi Kid. They were struggling in that game in the first place. So coming into these playoffs, I think they really need to sturdy themselves, finding their form. As Kiwi Kid said, I think there's a lot more to it than that for them, because their form was kind of being consistent in the laning phase, and then they didn't have really what it would take to win the game themselves. The other team would have to make an error. There would have to be something on the other side of the game. So I think they have to go past their form to really do well here.
All right, well, we are going to get a chance to talk to Rico a little bit later, so it will be interesting to get his thoughts on the matter. Now, when we talk about Team Impulse, you have to talk about their jungler Rush. We're going to take a closer look at Rush's journey from the top of Korean solo queue to the big stage here in North America.
리그 오브 레전드를 제대로 시작한 거는 얼마 되지 않았어요. 왜냐면 저는 일단은 공부 먼저 하고 프로가 되길 선택한 거라. 작년에 한국에 있는 고려대학교에 진학했고 프로를 하고 싶은데 부모님께 실망을 안겨드리기 싫고 뭔가 대학교는 가야 되겠다는 생각이 있어가지고 사실 저한테 우선순위는 학교보다는 게임이었어요. 시즌4 때도 초반부 잠깐 하다가 제대로 시작한 거는 8월 말부터인데 3-4달 만에 1등을 찍으면서 나는 어느 정도 잠재성이나 가능성이 있고 비록 솔로 큐지만 정말 열심히 한다면은 못 이길 선수는 없구나라는 자신감을 얻었고 그런 거에 대해서 막 되게 자부심 느끼고 그랬었는데 어쨌든 그 1등이라는 성적 때문에 중국, 유럽, 북미, 한국 거의 모든 지역에서 팀에 들어오라는 콜을 받을 수 있었어요. 9월쯤에 SKT가 거의 한국 모든 챌린저 전 포지션 대상으로 선수를 새로 뽑겠다는 공지를 했었고 모든 아마추어 선수들이 지원을 했고 결국 그런 서바이벌 방식의 그 테스트를 통해서 포지션별로 각 포지션별로 한두 명의 선수들이 남고 SKT 숙소까지 실제로 들어갔었는데 그 선수들이 탑은 훈이랑 스맵이었는데 훈이는 결국 푸나틱이랑 계약해서 푸나틱 갔고 정글은 레인오버랑 저였고 그 미드는 지금 SKT1 스카우트 그다음에 원딜은 퓨리 그다음에 서포터는 피카부였는데 한 일주일 정도 거기 있다 보니까 SKT에서 생각하기에는 자기 팀에 정말 필요한 사람은 피카부밖에 없다고 생각하고 나머지는 탈락했었는데 저도 계속 팀을 찾으면서 솔로키 하던 과정에 가장 빠르게 저한테 제의를 넣은 팀이 어떻게 보면 팀임펄스였고 그냥 빠르게 계약해 버렸죠. 어떻게 보면.
Now this is a guy, he's coming from the top of Korean solo queue. There's a lot of weight on Rush's shoulders to see if he can actually come from solo queue as a jungler and translate that into competitive.
다른 정글러들은 들어가지 않는데 저는 2대2가 되더라도 2대2로 싸우면 무조건 이기는 거 아닌가 이런 약간 자신감이 있어요. 어쩔 때 보면 그런 걸 성공시키면 되게 잘해 보이고 만약 그 실패하면 정말 멍청해 보이거든요.
There's the knockup gonna miss, but the death mark comes in. Boom, down he goes, but Rush still has aggro, and he Saint smites him. How's that?
다른 팀이 하는 픽을 잘 안 따라하는 경향이 있어요. 저희가 잘하는 챔프, 뭐 야수, 피즈, 리신 이런 거 약간 고집해서 좀 색달라 보이는 것 같아요. 저희 팀은 일단 리스크를 감수해야 하는 팀이에요. 어떻게 보면은. 일단 저희 팀은 그냥 무난하게 지는 걸 되게 싫어해요. 수비적으로 있다가 그냥 그대로 넥서스 밀리는 것보다는 한번 밖에 나가갖고 일단 싸우고 안 되겠다 싶으면 이제 그냥 지는 그런 걸 더 좋아하고.
Triple kill coming in for Rush, and it looks like they're trying to back up. Where's the ult from Trashy? Can he get the pentakill? Going in. Xiao's gonna take the turret for him. They're giving it. Salami. He goes in, and Xiao steals it on the accident.
첫 라운드 때는 저희가 강팀으로 분류되는 CLG, C9, 뭐 TSM 이런 팀한테 다 졌어요. 그 두 번째 시즌에는 강팀으로 분류되는 TSM, CLG, C9, 뭐 팀리퀴드 이런 팀 다 잡고 그 순간이 우리가 정말 연습 많이 해서 발전했구나 이렇게 느껴서 그때가 제일 좋았던 것 같아요. 다른 사람들이랑 같이 막 이렇게 부대 끼면서 막 같은 목표를 위해서 막 일하고 그런 경험이 없었는데 이번에 오면서 약간 서로 다른 문화적 배경 가진 5명이 더 잘하려고 노력하고 그런 과정 속에서 뭔가 배우는 것도 있고 그런 게 저를 좀 성장하도록 도와주는 것 같아요.
I always love getting those closer looks into the players, their individual journeys. And when we look at Rush, a phenomenal player. We always talk about his aggression, his playmaking, the way he opens things up for the team when
really
he's playing
made an impact.
well. Oh yeah, there you have it. And what champions he does that on, right? Nidalee, Lee Sin being the big two. Will teams decide to attack that pool? Because the last playoffs we saw him struggle on the likes of Nunu, Sejuani when he tried to move outside of those comfort picks.
Yeah, that was an unlucky meta shift for him at the time because right now it's actually really good because they have blue side 4 times today on TIP, and even if you ban Evelynn, Nidalee, Lee Sin, he has Elise still. So he has 4 junglers in his pocket that are near the SA tier. So if you ban 3, he's going to get the other one first pick. So I don't think attacking the champion pool of Rush is going to be a good strategy today. But I know that Rush, we talked about his aggression and things like that. His improvement and his dedication is something that I think we don't actually touch on enough compared to those things. Because this is a guy who didn't know what a lane swap was week 1 back in the spring split, right? He's like, how do I even play this? Now he's dominating lane swaps. He's causing pressure on the map. And this guy is looking for the opportunity to go to Worlds and play the team that denied him a spot.
Wouldn't that be something? Watch him go up against SKT, playing against, 1 year later.
With Impact at his side. I take your old members and I beat you with them.
All that growth allows them to keep pushing the play style as well that Fly has said in their interviews on stage and whatnot for the team, is that they don't really care what people play. They don't strategize for certain people. Rush said it in there, is that whatever champions they're going to play, they're going to play. We don't really lock on to that. We play our game, and I believe, as you were talking there, with even if he gets focused in the champion pool, they still have their game to play, and it's going to be tough to beat Tip.
Absolutely. Well, for a little more on Rush, we are going to send it over to our guys on the caster desk.